Tonight, as you settle into the gentle embrace of approaching sleep, imagine that you are resting at the end of the most extraordinary creative project ever undertaken, a 3.8 billion year masterpiece of patient artistry, where evolution has worked like the most dedicated artist imaginable, spending millions of generations perfecting each delicate detail, each elegant solution, each beautiful adaptation that connects every living being in a vast tapestry of shared ancestry and creative innovation. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider that every cell in your body carries within it the accumulated wisdom of billions of years of evolutionary experimentation. Your DNA contains genetic sequences that connect you not only to your human ancestors, but to every living thing that has ever existed on Earth. Ancient bacteria that learned to harness sunlight, early plants that pioneered photosynthesis, primitive animals that developed the first nervous systems, and countless other organisms whose patient innovations became the foundation for all complex life. Picture the early Earth as evolution's first canvas, a world of simple chemistry where organic molecules began the slow dance of self-organization that would eventually lead to life itself. In the warm pools and deep ocean vents of this ancient world, the first tentative experiments in biological creativity began. Molecules learning to copy themselves, primitive cells developing protective membranes, early organisms discovering how to extract energy from their environment and use it to grow, reproduce, and adapt. These first brushstrokes on evolution's canvas were painted with infinite patience. For nearly 2 billion years, life remained primarily single-celled. Yet, during this vast span of time, the fundamental innovations that would make complex life possible were being slowly, methodically developed. The genetic code was refined, cellular machinery was perfected, and the basic biochemical processes that still operate in your body tonight were established through countless generations of gradual improvement. Evolution works like an artist who never rushes, never forces solutions, but instead explores every possibility with gentle persistence. Unlike human creativity, which operates on timescales of days, months, or years, evolutionary creativity operates on timescales of millions and billions of years, allowing time for the most elegant and sophisticated solutions to emerge through the patient process of variation, selection, and inheritance. The beauty of evolution's artistry lies not in any predetermined plan or design, but in its openness to endless experimentation and discovery. Like an artist who tries thousands of different brushstrokes to find the perfect expression, evolution explores countless variations in form and function, keeping the innovations that work well in their environment, while allowing less successful experiments to fade away, creating a natural selection process that continuously refines and improves the living world. As you rest tonight, your body demonstrates the cumulative result of billions of years of evolutionary creativity. Your heart beats with a rhythm perfected over hundreds of millions of years of vertebrate evolution. Your immune system employs defensive strategies, developed through countless encounters with pathogens. Your nervous system processes information using cellular mechanisms that have been refined since the first primitive animals developed the ability to sense and respond to their environment. The genetic code that operates in every one of your cells is the same code used by every living organism on Earth, from the simplest bacteria to the most complex plants and animals. This universal genetic language reveals evolution's most profound truth, that all life is connected through common ancestry. All organisms share the same fundamental biochemical processes, and every species alive today represents a unique branch on the vast tree of life that connects all living beings in one magnificent family. Evolution's patient artistry also reveals itself in the elegant solutions that have emerged for the challenges of survival and reproduction. The sophisticated eye that allows you to see, the complex brain that generates your thoughts and dreams, the intricate cellular machinery that repairs DNA damage while you sleep. All of these represent evolutionary innovations that required millions of years of gradual refinement to achieve their current elegance and effectiveness. Tonight, as your consciousness fades into sleep and your body begins its own processes of cellular repair and renewal, you participate in the same patient creativity that has characterized evolution for billions of years. Your cells divide and grow, using mechanisms perfected over geological ages. Your tissues heal using processes developed through countless generations of evolutionary experimentation. And your dreams may even reflect the same creative exploration of possibilities that drives evolutionary change itself. The great collaborators, symbiosis, and shared success. As you sink deeper into sleep's restorative embrace, turn your attention to one of evolution's most beautiful discoveries. That the greatest innovations in the history of life have often emerged not through competition and conflict, but through cooperation and collaboration. Ancient partnerships between different organisms that created entirely new possibilities for complexity, beauty, and success in the living world. Tonight, while you rest in the quiet darkness, your body demonstrates the profound success of evolutionary collaboration. The mitochondria in your cells, the tiny powerhouses that generate the energy for all your biological processes, were once independent bacteria that entered into partnership with early complex cells billions of years ago. This ancient collaboration between two very different forms of life became so successful and so intimate that the partners eventually became inseparable, creating the foundation for all complex life on Earth. Picture these early cellular collaborations as evolution's greatest diplomatic achievements, where organisms that might have been competitors instead discovered the benefits of working together. The bacteria that became mitochondria brought their sophisticated energy production capabilities to the partnership, while the host cells provided protection and resources. This collaboration was so successful that every animal, plant, and fungus alive today carries these ancient bacterial partners within their cells, still working together after more than 1 billion years. This principle of collaborative evolution extends far beyond cellular partnerships to encompass some of the most beautiful and essential relationships in the natural world. The flowers outside your window exist because of an ancient collaboration between plants and pollinating insects. A partnership where plants provide nectar and pollen as food in exchange for the insect's assistance in reproduction. This collaboration has been so successful that it has generated much of the beauty and diversity we see in both flowering plants and insects today. As you rest tonight above the soil, vast networks of collaboration operate beneath your feet. Plant roots form intimate partnerships with beneficial fungi in relationships called mycorrhizae, where the fungi extend the plant's ability to gather nutrients from the soil, while receiving energy-rich sugars from the plant's photosynthesis. These underground collaborations are so extensive and important that most plants cannot survive without their fungal partners, creating forest-wide networks of cooperation that have been operating for hundreds of millions of years. Evolution's collaborative artistry also created the coral reefs that build entire ecosystems through the partnership between coral animals and photosynthetic algae. The corals provide the algae with protection and nutrients, while the algae provide the corals with energy from photosynthesis. This collaboration has been so successful that coral reefs support more biodiversity than almost any other ecosystem on Earth, demonstrating how cooperative relationships can create abundance and complexity that neither partner could achieve alone. The collaborative nature of evolution challenges the common misconception that natural selection operates only through survival of the fittest in terms of competitive struggle. Instead, evolution reveals that the most successful organisms are often those that develop beneficial relationships with other species, creating partnerships that increase the survival and reproductive success of all participants. Fitness, in evolutionary terms, often means the ability to cooperate effectively, rather than simply to compete aggressively. Your own body exemplifies this collaborative approach to evolutionary success. Your digestive system depends on trillions of beneficial bacteria that help break down food, synthesize vitamins, and maintain your immune health. Your skin hosts a complex ecosystem of microorganisms that protect you from harmful pathogens. Even your immune system operates through the collaboration of many different types of cells, each with specialized roles that work together to maintain your health and defend against threats. The evolution of complex multicellular organisms represents another profound example of collaboration, where individual cells gave up their independence to work together in specialized roles within larger organisms. The cells that form your muscles, your nervous system, your digestive organs, and all your other tissues are descendants of ancient single-celled organisms that discovered the benefits of collaborative specialization, creating the complex, coordinated bodies that make sophisticated life possible. Evolution's collaborative creativity also appears in the relationships between different species that share the same environment. Cleaner fish remove parasites from larger fish. Birds follow grazing animals to catch the insects they disturb. And countless other partnerships have evolved where different species provide mutual benefits. These collaborative relationships often become so finely tuned through evolutionary time that the partners develop specialized adaptations specifically to support their cooperative interactions. As you sleep tonight, your body continues to benefit from billions of years of evolutionary collaboration. Your cells work together with their ancient bacterial partners to generate energy. Your tissues coordinate their activities to maintain your health, and your organ systems collaborate to support your life while you rest. You are not a single organism, but a collaborative community of trillions of cells and microorganisms working together in the harmonious partnership that evolution has been perfecting for billions of years. The patient artistry of collaborative evolution reveals that the living world succeeds not through domination and competition alone, but through the discovery of mutual benefit, shared resources, and cooperative solutions to the challenges of survival and reproduction. Tonight, as you rest within your own body's collaborative community, you participate in the same spirit of beneficial partnership that has been one of evolution's most successful and beautiful creative strategies throughout the long history of life on Earth. The Master Sculptor, Adaptation's Elegant Solutions. As your night deepens and you rest in the gentle currents of sleep, consider evolution's role as the most patient and skillful sculptor imaginable, working with the raw material of genetic variation to slowly, methodically carve out solutions to life's challenges that are so elegant and perfect that they often surpass anything human engineers could design, creating forms and functions of breathtaking beauty through millions of years of gradual refinement. Tonight, while you sleep in the comfort of your familiar environment, evolution's sculptural work continues throughout the natural world as organisms slowly adapt to changing conditions through the patient accumulation of beneficial variations. Like a master sculptor who removes tiny amounts of material with each careful chisel stroke, natural selection gradually shapes living forms by favoring the individuals whose variations provide even slight advantages in survival or reproduction. Slowly, but inevitably, creating the magnificent adaptations we see in the living world. Picture the evolution of flight as one of evolution's greatest sculptural achievements. A process that began with small dinosaurs developing feathers for insulation or display, then gradually lengthening those feathers for better temperature control or more elaborate displays, eventually leading to the discovery that longer feathers could provide lift and the ability to glide, and finally, perfecting the complex aerodynamics, bone structure, and muscle coordination required for powered flight. This sculptural process required millions of years and countless intermediate steps, each one providing some benefit to the organisms that possessed it, yet none of them predetermined to lead toward flight. Evolution's sculptural method works without blueprints or planned outcomes, instead allowing elegant solutions to emerge through the patient exploration of countless small variations, keeping the changes that prove beneficial while letting unsuccessful experiments fade away. The wings that eventually emerged from this long sculptural process represent engineering solutions of extraordinary sophistication. Bird wings demonstrate principles of aerodynamics that human engineers are still studying and trying to replicate. The hollow bones that reduce weight while maintaining strength, the flight muscles that can operate at incredible speeds without fatigue, the respiratory system that provides the enormous amounts of oxygen required for flight. All of these represent evolutionary innovations that required millions of years of careful refinement to achieve their current perfection. As you rest tonight, your own body demonstrates countless examples of evolution's sculptural mastery. Your eyes represent optical systems more sophisticated than any camera humans have created, with automatic focus, light adjustment, motion detection, and image processing capabilities that operate seamlessly and unconsciously. Your immune system employs recognition and response strategies more complex than any artificial intelligence, capable of learning to recognize and remember millions of different threats while avoiding attacks on your body's own tissues. Evolution's sculptural work also reveals itself in the countless elegant solutions to the basic challenges of survival that we see throughout the living world. The echolocation systems of bats and dolphins provide three-dimensional acoustic imaging more sophisticated than our best sonar technology. The photosynthetic machinery in plants converts sunlight to chemical energy with efficiency that solar panel engineers strive to match. The web-building instincts of spiders create structures that combine strength, flexibility, and efficiency in ways that materials scientists study for inspiration. The patient, gradual nature of evolutionary sculpture explains why biological systems often appear so perfectly suited to their environments and functions. Each small improvement that provided even a tiny advantage was preserved and passed on to future generations, while variations that provided no benefit or caused harm were gradually eliminated. Over millions of generations, this process accumulates tiny improvements into major innovations, creating the appearance of purposeful design through the operation of purposeless natural processes. Evolution's sculptural method also explains the incredible diversity of solutions to similar problems that we observe in different groups of organisms. The challenge of detecting light has been solved through the evolution of many different types of eyes: compound eyes in insects, simple eyes in some mollusks, and complex camera eyes in vertebrates and some invertebrates. Each represents a different sculptural approach to the same basic challenge, demonstrating evolution's creativity in discovering multiple, elegant solutions to similar problems. The timescales required for evolutionary sculpture help explain why biological systems often seem so much more sophisticated than human technology. While human engineering operates on timescales of years or decades, evolution has been refining its solutions for billions of years, with countless generations of testing and improvement. The cellular machinery that operates in your body tonight represents the culmination of nearly 4 billion years of continuous research and development, guided by the most rigorous testing possible, the test of survival and reproduction in the real world. As you sleep tonight, your body's biological systems continue to operate with the precision and reliability that only billions of years of evolutionary refinement could produce. Your heart beats with rhythms perfected over hundreds of millions of years of vertebrate evolution. Your digestive system processes nutrients using biochemical pathways refined since the earliest living cells. And your nervous system coordinates your body's functions using principles of information processing that have been optimized through countless generations of natural selection. Evolution's role as master sculptor reveals that the most elegant and sophisticated solutions often emerge not from intelligent planning, but from patient exploration of possibilities, gradual accumulation of improvements, and the relentless testing of reality. Tonight, as you rest within your own body's sculptural masterpiece, you experience the culmination of the longest and most thorough design process in the history of the universe. Evolution's patient artistry in creating the forms and functions that make complex life possible. The Story Weavers, evolutionary history in your DNA. As you drift deeper into sleep's embracing darkness, imagine your DNA as an ancient library containing the most extraordinary collection of stories ever assembled. Genetic narratives that chronicle not just your personal family history, but the entire 3.8 billion year journey of life on Earth, with each chromosome carrying chapters from evolution's greatest adventures, written in the elegant language of genetic code. Tonight, while you rest in peaceful quiet, the DNA in every cell of your body preserves the molecular memory of countless evolutionary journeys. Hidden within your genetic sequences are ancient stories, the tale of early cells learning to use oxygen, the epic of vertebrates leaving the ocean for land, the adventure of mammals surviving the age of dinosaurs, and the recent chapter of human evolution that led to your existence in this moment of quiet rest. Picture your genome as evolution's autobiography, where each gene represents a paragraph in the long story of how life learned to solve the challenges of existence. The genes that control your basic cellular metabolism tell the story of ancient bacteria discovering how to extract energy from nutrients. The genes that build your nervous system carry the narrative of early animals developing the ability to sense and respond to their environment. The genes that regulate your development preserve the instructions refined over hundreds of millions of years for building complex, multicellular organisms. Some of the most fascinating stories in your DNA are written in genetic sequences that no longer serve their original functions. Evolutionary fossils called pseudogenes that preserve evidence of ancient adaptations. These molecular relics tell stories of capabilities your distant ancestors possessed, but you no longer need. Genes for producing vitamin C that work in most mammals, but became inactive in primates whose fruit-rich diets provided adequate vitamin C from external sources. Or genes for detecting pheromones that function in many mammals, but became non-functional during human evolution. Your DNA also contains stories of ancient viral infections that became permanently integrated into your genetic code, creating sequences that are shared by all humans and serve as molecular timestamps marking important events in our evolutionary history. These viral fossils reveal when our ancestors encountered specific pathogens, how our immune systems adapted to new challenges, and how genetic diversity was increased through the incorporation of foreign genetic material that eventually became beneficial. The story-weaving capability of DNA becomes even more remarkable when you consider how evolutionary history is preserved in the similarities and differences between the genomes of different species. Humans share about 99% of their DNA with chimpanzees, telling the story of our recent common ancestry. We share about 85% of our genes with mice, revealing our shared mammalian heritage. We even share fundamental genetic sequences with plants and bacteria, demonstrating the deep unity of all life on Earth. As you sleep tonight, scientists around the world are reading these genetic stories, using DNA sequences to reconstruct the evolutionary relationships between species, trace the migration patterns of ancient human populations, and understand how different organisms adapted to changing environments throughout Earth's history. Your genome contains not just the instructions for building and maintaining your body, but also a detailed historical record of every major event in the evolution of life. The molecular stories preserved in DNA also reveal the creative mechanisms that drive evolutionary change. Gene duplication events created extra copies of genetic sequences that could evolve new functions while preserving the original capabilities. Horizontal gene transfer allowed organisms to acquire beneficial traits from distantly related species. Sexual reproduction created new combinations of genetic variants that increased the raw material available for natural selection to work with. Your DNA preserves stories of survival through multiple mass extinction events that eliminated most other species. The genetic sequences you carry tonight have been passed down through lineages that survived the Great Dying at the end of the Permian period, the asteroid impact that ended the age of dinosaurs, and countless smaller environmental catastrophes throughout Earth's history. Your existence represents the culmination of an unbroken chain of survival and reproduction, stretching back through billions of years and countless generations. The story-weaving properties of evolution also appear in the way genetic narratives from different species can be combined to tell larger stories about life's history. Comparative genomics reveals how different groups of organisms solved similar problems through convergent evolution, how continental drift influenced the evolution of isolated populations, and how climate changes throughout Earth's history shaped the genetic diversity of species alive today. Modern techniques for reading DNA stories are revealing details of evolutionary history that were previously invisible, including the genetic contributions of extinct human relatives like Neanderthals and Denisovans that can still be detected in the genomes of modern human populations. These ancient genetic stories help us understand how human populations adapted to different environments, how cultural innovations influenced genetic evolution, and how the recent rapid expansion of human populations has affected our species' genetic diversity. Tonight, as you rest within your own body's genetic library, remember that you carry within your cells the most comprehensive historical archive ever created. Molecular stories that connect your individual existence to every major chapter in the history of life on Earth. Your DNA preserves not just the instructions for who you are, but also the accumulated wisdom of billions of years of evolutionary experimentation, survival, and creative adaptation that led to this moment of peaceful rest. The genetic stories woven into your DNA tonight represent evolution's greatest gift to the future: the preservation and transmission of hard-won biological knowledge that allows each new generation to build upon the discoveries of all previous generations, ensuring that the creative journey of life continues, with each new story added to the great genetic library that connects all living beings in one magnificent, ever-growing collection of evolutionary narratives. The patient teachers: how species learn and adapt. As your sleep deepens into its most restorative phases, contemplate one of evolution's most beautiful aspects: its role as the most patient teacher in the universe, working with species across millions of generations to help them learn new skills, adapt to changing environments, and develop more effective ways of surviving and thriving through a teaching process so gentle and gradual that it operates almost invisibly across the vast timescales of geological change. Tonight, while you rest in the sanctuary of sleep, evolutionary teaching continues throughout the natural world as species slowly learn to cope with environmental challenges through the patient accumulation of beneficial adaptations. Unlike human learning, which occurs within individual lifetimes, evolutionary learning happens across generations, with each successful adaptation becoming a lesson that gets passed on to future offspring through the genetic inheritance that preserves useful innovations. Picture evolution as a teacher who never gives up on any student, working with infinite patience to help each species discover solutions to the challenges they face. When climate changes create new environmental pressures, evolution doesn't abandon species that are struggling. Instead, it works with the genetic variation that exists within populations to gradually develop new adaptations that can cope with the changed conditions, sometimes taking thousands of generations to perfect solutions that allow species to thrive in their new circumstances. The teaching methods that evolution employs are remarkably sophisticated, using what scientists call natural selection to identify and preserve the most successful innovations, while allowing less effective approaches to fade away. This process operates like a gentle but persistent teacher who rewards students for correct answers, while providing opportunities to try again when approaches don't work well, gradually guiding learning toward more and more effective solutions. As you sleep tonight, your own body demonstrates the results of evolutionary teaching that has been refined over hundreds of millions of years. Your immune system represents one of evolution's greatest educational achievements. A learning system that can recognize and remember millions of different pathogens, develop specific responses to new threats, and even pass some of this learned immunity to offspring through maternal antibodies and other mechanisms. Evolution's teaching extends beyond individual species to encompass entire ecological communities, where different organisms learn to interact with each other in increasingly sophisticated ways. Predator-prey relationships often involve evolutionary arms races, where both species continuously adapt to each other's innovations. Prey species learning better ways to avoid or escape predators, while predators develop more effective hunting strategies, creating cycles of learning and counter-learning that can continue for millions of years. The patient nature of evolutionary teaching becomes apparent when we observe how species adapt to gradual environmental changes, like shifting climate patterns or slowly changing geological conditions. Rather than requiring immediate, dramatic changes that might be impossible for organisms to achieve, evolution works with small variations that accumulate over many generations, allowing species to gradually track environmental changes and maintain their fitness even as their world slowly transforms around them. Evolution also teaches through what scientists call learning by doing. Species that actively explore new environments or try new behaviors are more likely to discover beneficial innovations than those that remain in familiar situations. This explains why species that colonize new habitats often undergo rapid evolutionary diversification, as the novel challenges and opportunities of unfamiliar environments create intensive learning experiences that can lead to remarkable adaptations. The teaching process that evolution employs also demonstrates remarkable flexibility and creativity, finding multiple different solutions to similar challenges and allowing different species to learn different approaches to the same problems. The evolution of flight, for example, has been learned independently by insects, birds, bats, and extinct reptiles, with each group discovering different engineering solutions based on their specific anatomy and evolutionary history. Modern research has revealed that evolutionary teaching can occur much more rapidly than previously thought, especially when environmental pressures are strong or when species possess high levels of genetic variation that provide raw material for adaptation. Some species have been observed evolving significant adaptations within decades, or even years, demonstrating that evolution's teaching methods can be remarkably responsive when circumstances require rapid learning. Evolution's teaching also operates through what might be called collaborative learning, where different species learn to work together in mutually beneficial relationships. The coevolution of flowering plants and their pollinators represents a beautiful example of this collaborative learning process, where both partners gradually refined their interactions to become more efficient and beneficial for both participants. The lessons that evolution teaches are preserved in the genetic code and passed on to future generations, creating a form of inherited wisdom that allows each new generation to benefit from the learning experiences of their ancestors. This genetic inheritance of learned adaptations ensures that evolutionary education is cumulative, with each generation building upon the knowledge gained by previous generations, rather than having to start the learning process from scratch. Tonight, as you sleep within your own body's collection of evolutionary lessons, the sophisticated physiological systems that maintain your life, the complex behaviors that guide your actions, the emotional responses that help you navigate social relationships. Remember that you are the beneficiary of the most comprehensive and patient educational process ever undertaken, one that has been teaching life how to flourish for nearly 4 billion years. The gentle persistence of evolution's teaching methods offers inspiration for human learning and adaptation, demonstrating that the most profound changes often occur through patient accumulation of small improvements rather than dramatic, sudden transformations, and that the most effective learning happens when students are allowed to explore possibilities, make mistakes, and gradually discover solutions that work well in their particular circumstances. The creative architects, building complexity from simplicity. As you rest in the deepest sanctuary of sleep, marvel at evolution's role as the universe's most creative architect, working with the simplest possible building blocks, random genetic mutations and natural selection, to construct biological systems of such breathtaking complexity and elegance that they surpass anything human architects and engineers have ever conceived, creating cathedrals of living complexity from the humble foundations of molecular variation. Tonight, while you sleep in the quiet darkness, evolution's architectural work continues, as the same creative processes that built every living system on Earth operate within your own body, maintaining and refining the extraordinary biological architecture that makes your life possible. Your cells divide and grow using construction plans refined over billions of years. Your tissues organize themselves according to developmental blueprints perfected through countless generations, and your organs coordinate their functions through communication networks more sophisticated than any human city. Picture evolution as an architect who works without predetermined plans, instead allowing designs to emerge through experimentation and gradual refinement. Unlike human architects who begin with detailed blueprints, evolution starts with simple variations and builds complexity through the patient accumulation of beneficial modifications, creating biological structures that often seem impossibly sophisticated, yet emerge through processes that require no foresight or planning. The architectural achievements of evolution become apparent when you consider the extraordinary complexity of even the simplest living cell. Your cells contain molecular machines that can copy DNA with greater accuracy than our best printers, protein factories that can manufacture thousands of different products based on genetic instructions, transport systems that can move specific molecules to precise locations within the cell, and quality control mechanisms that detect and repair errors with remarkable efficiency. Evolution's architectural creativity reaches its pinnacle in the construction of complex organs like your brain, which contains roughly 86 billion neurons connected by trillions of synapses in patterns that create the networks responsible for consciousness, memory, emotion, and thought. This neural architecture emerged through millions of years of gradual refinement, starting with simple nerve nets in early animals and gradually developing into the sophisticated information processing systems that generate your dreams and coordinate your body's functions while you sleep. As you rest tonight, consider that evolution's architectural methods offer profound lessons about how complexity can emerge from simplicity through patient, persistent work. Each small improvement that provided even a tiny advantage was preserved and built upon, gradually creating the elaborate biological structures we see today, through a process that required no master plan, no intelligent designer, only the gentle persistence of variation and selection operating across vast spans of time. The architectural principles that evolution employs include modularity, where complex systems are built from smaller functional units that can be combined in different ways to create diverse capabilities. Your immune system demonstrates this modular architecture, using a limited number of basic cell types that can be combined and specialized to respond to virtually any pathogen, creating a defense system that is both highly flexible and remarkably robust. Evolution's architecture also demonstrates the principle of redundancy, where critical functions are supported by multiple backup systems to ensure reliability. Your cardiovascular system includes multiple pathways for blood flow that can compensate if primary routes become blocked. Your nervous system has backup circuits that can take over if primary pathways are damaged. And your genetic code includes error correction mechanisms that prevent small mistakes from causing major problems. The creative architecture of evolution also appears in the way biological systems achieve efficiency through elegant design principles that human engineers are still learning to apply. Your circulatory system uses fractal branching patterns that maximize surface area while minimizing volume. Your respiratory system employs countercurrent flow that optimizes gas exchange efficiency. And your digestive system uses folded surfaces that dramatically increase absorptive capacity within limited space. Evolution's architectural creativity extends beyond individual organisms to encompass entire ecosystems, where different species are woven together in complex webs of interaction that create emergent properties and collective behaviors that benefit the entire community. Forests, coral reefs, and other natural communities represent architectural achievements where countless individual organisms combine their efforts to create living systems more complex and resilient than any human construction. The patient, incremental nature of evolutionary architecture explains why biological systems often appear so perfectly integrated and harmoniously designed. Each component has been refined, not in isolation, but in relationship to all the other components, creating systems where every part supports the function of every other part in ways that maximize overall efficiency and effectiveness. Modern research in fields like biomimicry reveals that evolution's architectural solutions often surpass human engineering in elegance and efficiency, leading to new technologies inspired by biological designs. Velcro was inspired by the hooks on plant seeds. More efficient building ventilation systems have been developed by studying termite mounds. And new materials are being created based on the structure of spider silk and other biological materials. Tonight, as you sleep within your own body's architectural masterpiece, a living building more complex than any human construction, yet so perfectly integrated that it maintains itself, repairs damage, and coordinates countless functions without your conscious awareness. Remember that you rest within the culmination of nearly 4 billion years of creative architectural work by evolution's patient, persistent, and endlessly innovative design process. The architectural achievements of evolution demonstrate that the most sophisticated and beautiful structures often emerge not from intelligent planning, but from patient exploration of possibilities, gradual refinement of successful innovations, and the gentle persistence of creative processes operating over timescales vast enough to allow complexity to emerge from simplicity through the patient accumulation of countless small improvements, guided by the reliable testing of natural selection. The eternal dancers, evolution's endless creative flow. As your night's journey reaches its completion and you rest in the profound embrace of deep sleep, contemplate evolution's most beautiful aspect, its nature as an eternal dance of creativity that never ends, never reaches a final destination, but continues forever in an endless flow of experimentation, adaptation, and innovation that ensures life will always be discovering new possibilities, exploring fresh solutions, and creating beauty that has never existed before in the universe's long history. Tonight, while you sleep in peaceful stillness, the dance of evolution continues throughout the living world in countless subtle ways. Genetic variations appearing in new generations, populations slowly adapting to environmental changes, species exploring new ecological opportunities, and ecosystems shifting in response to the patient creativity that has been choreographing life's movements for billions of years, and will continue long after our current moment has passed into the flowing stream of evolutionary time. Picture evolution as a dancer who never tires, never stops moving, never repeats the same performance, but continuously improvises new movements based on the music of environmental change, genetic variation, and the infinite possibilities that emerge when living systems interact with each other and their surroundings. This eternal dance operates without predetermined choreography, allowing new movements to emerge spontaneously from the creative interaction between organisms and their ever-changing world. The dance of evolution moves to rhythms that span multiple timescales simultaneously. The quick movements of bacterial adaptation occurring within days, the moderate tempo of seasonal changes in animal behavior, the slow dance of species formation over thousands of generations, and the grand choreography of major evolutionary transitions that unfold over millions of years, all operating together in a complex symphony of change that creates the dynamic patterns we observe in the living world. As you rest tonight, your own body participates in evolution's eternal dance through processes of cellular renewal, immune system adaptation, and the subtle genetic variations that ensure no two individuals are exactly alike. Your cells divide using slightly different combinations of genetic material. Your immune system learns to recognize new threats, and your body continues the dance of adaptation that has been moving through your ancestral lineage for billions of years. Evolution's dance demonstrates that life's greatest creativity emerges not from seeking perfection or final solutions, but from embracing the perpetual flow of change and discovery. No species ever reaches a state of perfect adaptation, because the environment is always changing. Other species are always evolving new capabilities, and new challenges are always emerging that require fresh, creative responses. This endless imperfection is not a flaw in evolution's design, but the very source of its creative power. The beauty of evolution's dance lies in its ability to create unity and diversity simultaneously. All life shares the same basic biochemical processes and genetic code, yet this shared foundation supports an incredible diversity of forms, functions, and ways of being alive. Like a dance that uses the same basic movements to create an infinite variety of performances, evolution uses the same fundamental mechanisms to generate the spectacular diversity of life we see around us. Evolution's choreography also demonstrates the principle of emergence, where simple interactions between individual dancers create complex, beautiful patterns that could never be predicted from studying the dancers in isolation. The flocking behavior of birds, the schooling of fish, the collective intelligence of insect colonies, and the intricate ecological relationships within ecosystems all emerge from simple rules operating at the level of individual organisms, creating collective dances of breathtaking complexity and beauty. The eternal nature of evolution's dance means that the story of life will never be finished. The exploration of possibilities will never be complete, and new forms of beauty and complexity will continue to emerge for as long as life exists in the universe. Every generation adds new steps to the dance. Every species contributes its own unique movements, and every individual organism participates in the ongoing choreography that makes life an eternally creative process. Modern research reveals that evolution's dance is becoming increasingly rapid and complex as human activities create new environments and challenges that accelerate evolutionary change. Species are adapting to urban environments, developing resistance to human-made chemicals, and evolving new relationships with the technological systems that increasingly dominate Earth's surface. The dance continues, incorporating even these unprecedented changes into its flowing creative movement. Tonight, as you settle into the gentle embrace of approaching sleep, imagine that you are resting at the end of the most extraordinary creative project ever undertaken, a 3.8 billion-year masterpiece of patient artistry, where evolution has worked like the most dedicated artist imaginable, spending millions of generations perfecting each delicate detail, each elegant solution, each beautiful adaptation that connects every living being in a vast tapestry of shared ancestry and creative innovation. As you drift toward sleep tonight, consider that every cell in your body carries within it the accumulated wisdom of billions of years of evolutionary experimentation. Your DNA contains genetic sequences that connect you not only to your human ancestors, but to every living thing that has ever existed on Earth. Ancient bacteria that learned to harness sunlight, early plants that pioneered photosynthesis, primitive animals that developed the first nervous systems, and countless other organisms whose patient innovations became the foundation for all complex life. Picture the early Earth as evolution's first canvas, a world of simple chemistry where organic molecules began the slow dance of self-organization that would eventually lead to life itself. In the warm pools and deep ocean vents of this ancient world, the first tentative experiments in biological creativity began. Molecules learning to copy themselves, primitive cells developing protective membranes, early organisms discovering how to extract energy from their environment and use it to grow, reproduce, and adapt. These first brushstrokes on evolution's canvas were painted with infinite patience. For nearly 2 billion years, life remained primarily single-celled. Yet, during this vast span of time, the fundamental innovations that would make complex life possible were being slowly, methodically developed. The genetic code was refined, cellular machinery was perfected, and the basic biochemical processes that still operate in your body tonight were established through countless generations of gradual improvement. The dance of evolution operates through evolutionary developmental biology, where genetic mechanisms controlling individual development are reused and modified to create new forms across species. This recycling creates beautiful variations on common patterns, like a choreographer using familiar steps in fresh combinations. Tonight, as you sleep within your body's participation in evolution's eternal dance, your cells dividing and renewing, your immune system adapting, your dreams exploring creative possibilities through neural networks shaped by billions of years of evolutionary creativity. Remember that you are both an individual performer and part of the vast collective choreography, including every living being on Earth.